Hello everyone, welcome to this lecture, Research Methodology and Technical Writing. In this series of lectures, I want to explain about research. What is research? What are the research methodologies? For writing, I will be talking about LaTeX. Then I will explain different type of papers, technical writing, how to write a good paper, what is plagiarism. Then once you have written one paper where you can publish it, different journals, conferences, workshops, etc. Then how you submit one paper, what is the submission process, what will happen after you have submitted your paper. I will talk about patents, grant application, and citation indices. So research in general is a kind of systematic process that for use for discovering new knowledge, right? Discovering new knowledge. Or we try to improve existing solutions. Sometimes we discover something totally new, or sometimes we try to improve the existing solutions. Then the research methodologies refer to systematic approach that we use for conducting research, right? Systematic approach that we use in conducting research, right? So I will talk about different views of research. First of all, let's see what's the definition of research. According to Redman and Mori, research is defined as the systematic effort to gain new knowledge. In other words, research is meant to increase the knowledge about people, about environment, about animal, about systems, process, and many other things, right? So these two gentlemen define research as a systematic and structured process that aims at gaining new knowledge. So it involves searching for facts. Maybe we try to find out the facts, maybe for insights, or maybe for truth, and maybe we try to generally advance our understanding, right? So research composed of several distinct steps that you can see here. The first one is defining or redefining problems. In here, we try to identify the specific issue or question that requires investigation. If there is no question, there is no problem, then we are not going to do anything, right? But we must define. In research, we call it as the problem statement, right? The problem statement is the start. As said, necessity is the mother of invention. Second one is formulating the hypotheses or suggested solutions. We try proposing tentative solutions or explanations that guide for the inquiry that we have. The next step is collecting, organizing, and evaluating data. We try to gather relevant information, and also we need to organize them, and finally we have to critically analyze them. The next step is we have to make deduction and reaching conclusions. We must be able to draw logical inferences and conclusions from the data to arrive at findings or solution that we have. Next, we have to test our conclusions. We will be able to verify that conclusions align the hypothesis and can be generalized. It's very important. It must be generalized. It means the solution must be usable for the same areas as well. You can't say that, okay, my solution is applicable to my problem statement only. No, this should be used for all other problem statements in the same direction. For example, the vaccine that has been suggested for coronavirus, the people who find it, they didn't say this can be used for people in our city only. No, they said it can be generalized for everyone in the world, right? So if I want to define one ultimate goal or aim of research, I would say that the ultimate objective is to find solution for unsolved problems, thereby expanding the scope of human knowledge. expanding human knowledge. Why? Here, because we define that the aim of research is to gain new knowledge. We want to help human to grasp, to gain more knowledge about people, process, system, industry, animal, nature, sky, ocean, here and there, from everywhere. So the general definition of research in one statement is research is the systematic approach to obtaining and confirming new and reliable knowledge. New and reliable. So these two terms very important. It must be new and also it must be reliable. So the key elements in this definition are systematic and orderly. Systematic and orderly. Research follows a structured sequence of steps. Such methodological process ensure that the investigation is organized. This kind of organized investigation helps the researcher to approach the problem in a logical manner. And in here, in this systematic approach, each step builds upon the previous one. It means contributing to the integrity and credibility of the research. The next key in this definition is new knowledge. The primary goal of research is to generate new insights, new understanding, new knowledge, new wisdom, right? So these contribute to expanding the existing knowledge base by either solving unanswered question or exploring new areas of inquiry. And also, it must be a reliable knowledge. Reliable knowledge. It means the knowledge obtained through research must be reliable. It can be trusted or replicated by others. It is typically validated through testing, verification, and many other by experts. We cannot say simply, okay, this one is my finding. No, some peers or some experts must approve it. That's why we submit our papers for peer review. Peer review means some experts will evaluate, will assess our work, and if they say it's okay, then we can publish. So this definition here underlines the importance of precision, structure, and verification in the research process, and such kind of system ensure that the outcome are credible and valuable. We understood what is a research. Now we want to see what it's not research. What is not research? Is not research. Accidental discovery is not research. Research does not rely on chance of occurrence. Does not rely on chance of occurrence. While unexpected discoveries can happen, they are not the central goal or method of research. They may lead us later to start a research. So accidental discoveries may happen within the context of a structured research process, but they do not define the research itself. Accidental discoveries typically represent new phenomena or observation that had not been recognized before. So these findings may spark further investigation. So accidental discoveries may spark further investigation, but they cannot be the central goal or the method of research. After an unexpected observation, a structured research process often follows to verify or they try to understand the phenomena in a systematic way. It means starting a new research. Research is not data collection. Data collection itself is not research. It's an intermediate step. Intermediate step in a broader research process. So data collection serves as a means to gather information. Data collection must be organized, must be analyzed, must be interpreted to contribute to the research objective. So it's a kind of contribution to a research, not itself as research. So while collecting reliable data is very important and it's part of research and it's really crucial, but data collection must be followed by evaluation, analysis, hypothesis testing, and drawing conclusion. So that is only one step. So if data collection, the next step is evaluation. The next step is analysis. The next one is hypothesis testing. The next one is conclusion. Right? So data collection itself is not a research, but only one part of a big process. Okay, here, searching out published research results in libraries. It means we call this one as the related work, or we call it as literature survey. Literature survey is also a part of research process, but it's not research itself. So searching out published research results in libraries or on internet is not research. So you may think of survey paper. Survey paper, maybe 10 to 15% is literature survey, but researcher must work and contribute in analyzing, evaluating, writing own insights, in writing, own understanding, taking lesson, open research problem, many other things. So in a survey paper, I can say 10 to 15% is literature survey. Some people, they think that if they search on internet and they find out 50 papers, then they summarize them, then they can write a survey paper. It's totally wrong, and in plagiarism, we call it as a patchwork. Patchwork means you find 50 papers, you summarize them, and you say this one say this one, this one say this one, then you can write a survey paper. I know on internet or Google Scholar, many people, they can publish patchwork, means they summarize others' work, they just check the similarity check, they change in their word by paraphrasing, and they write a survey paper. It's absolutely wrong. Later, I will tell you how to write survey paper. 10 to 15% can be literature search. The other must be contribution by the researcher. So looking for existing research is not research itself. It's a primary stage of a structured research process. Reviewing the literature is essential and is mandatory for understanding the current state of the art and the knowledge, and it's very important for identifying gaps. We call it as the research gap. Research gap. For research gap, we must do literature search, but it's not the only search. So true research involves not just collecting existing knowledge, but also synthesizing, critical analyzing, integration, new insight, problems, categorization, and many other things. So a literature review helps form the problem, but does not generate new knowledge. Research must go beyond to include hypothesis testing, data collection, and analyzing, and getting new knowledge. So here we can see some friends of researchers. What, why, when, how, where, who. These are called as friends of a researcher. What? What means we want to define the subject or the problem that we are going to search. What is the problem that we are going? We can say that. What is the problem statement? What can help us to define the scope of our research, the scope of our investigation. For example, what is the impact of climate change on global agriculture? The next one is why. Why? Explore the reason, or you can say the purpose of our research. This why help us to address the significance or rationale of our study. When, right? Or you can say timeline of our research, timeline of events or phenomena that we are going to investigate. It could refer to the time frame of the study or period under analysis that we have. The next friend is how. How is methodology, or you can say contributions. Right? You want to do something, how you want to do it, or what are the technical contributions that the researcher can have, right? This is the main part of the research. You want to do something, why you want to do it, but the main question is how you want to do it. For example, we propose an algorithm, we formulate, we analyze, we modify, we improve, we something, right? So these are the how. Next question is where, the location or setting of the research. You can say setting of the research. So this could be a physical place or context, or maybe you go for experiment, or you can go for simulation, because for some research, experiment is impossible or very expensive, and students or young researchers, individual researchers cannot do it. That's why we should go for simulation. Then who, right? identify the key stakeholder, participant, entities, or people that they did it. So these 6 guiding questions or friends, they help us to structure research systematically and ensure all critical aspects of inquiry are addressed. So now we come to the point of research methods, research methodologies, or we can say research procedures or methods. How you want to conduct your research? What are the methods? What are the procedures? And what are your technical contributions in conducting this research? So there are some characteristics for such methodologies, and the first one is critical and creative thinking, because this research is going to be carried on for the first time. That's why it must be creative. So here we learn to generate and evaluate knowledge, and also we clarify concepts and ideas, we seek for possibilities, and we also consider alternatives and solve problems. So critical and creative thinking involves the researcher thinking broadly and also deeply, using some skills, behaviors, and dispositions like reason, logic, and resourcefulness, imagination, right, and innovation. These are something that the researchers must be equipped with, right? So thinking that is productive, right? Productive thinking is needed. Productive thinking, purposeful and intentional, is the center for effective learning. So by applying a sequence of thinking skills, researchers develop an increasing sophisticated understanding of the process, and also they can use them whenever they encounter problem or something new they face. So here we come to the problem solving. So creative problem solving is not just brainstorming, although that's what many people may associate it with. It's something actually a well-defined process that can help you from problem definition to implementing solutions. So creative ideas do not suddenly appear in our mind for no apparent reason. Rather, they are the result of, so I can say, creative ideas are the result of trying to solve a specific problem. Ideas come not from sky. They are the result of hard working, right? Then analysis. So this analysis, it means the process of breaking down the problems. Okay. So we have a big problem, big issue or something, we break it down, right? In research, analysis can involve evaluating theories, concepts, and existing data to retrieve insights or form a hypothesis. So we need to go for data collection. So the process of gathering relevant data and also accurate. So two characteristics for the data that we have. It must be relevant and accurate. Reliability must be there. So then, we can go for data analysis. This is like, for example, we want to systematically apply statistical. Also, you can go for logical techniques to describe, summarize, and compare your data. So maybe you can go for quantitative analysis or qualitative analysis based on the nature of the data you have. Then we have dissemination. So dissemination is the process of sharing and also distributing of research results. You have carried on successfully a research. Now you want to share it with others, but your results. For example, you can publish, right? You can publish journal papers. You can present in a conference. You can present it in a workshop. You can go for TV show. You can go for a radio talk. Right? You can go for newspapers. You can go for books. Or you can go for online platforms. Right? So you can do it. You can share it with others. That why we do so, because we want to promote awareness, encourage further research, and also influence policy or practice. So research is indeed the main goal is to provide factual, empirical, and theoretical evidence that supports or reject some hypothesis. So in our research, we try to find some practical application for the knowledge generated where it can be used. I can say we can call it as the merit of the research, where it can be used, right? So this could include solving a specific problem, developing new technologies, or informing policy. And also, it should be new models. Research frequently result in the development of new models, technologies, process, ideas, or frameworks that offer novel perspective or approaches to existing problems. So here is how it works, research skills, what information I'm looking for, where I can find my information, how I can get it there, how good is the information, and how I will ethically use the information. This is the life cycle of the research skills. So now we come to the point of types of research. How many types of research we have? We have applied research. This applied research, is to solve practical problems and develop solutions that can be applied in real world setting. It can be fundamental research that is normally used to expand theoretical knowledge. It can be descriptive research that is usually used for describe characteristics or phenomena without manipulating variables. It can be analytical research that is to analyze and interpret data. It can be quantitative research to quantify variables. It can be qualitative research to explore and understand complex phenomena. It can be conceptual research to develop new theories. It can be empirical research to gather and analyze data from observation, and many other forms of data. So in next slides, I will explain them one by one. So the first one is applied research. It's a kind of research that is designed and is trying to find a solution for some specific problem, or they want to provide innovative solutions to solve some problem like individual, group, or society. So solution for an intermediate problem. So this kind of applied research is often referred to as a scientific method of inquiry or conceptual research because it involves the practical application of scientific methods. The next one is pure research or fundamental research. This is also known as basic research. So it does not usually generate findings that have immediate application in a practical level, but this fundamental research is driven by curiosity and the desire to expand knowledge in a specific area. So like pure mathematics or generalization of human behavior. Next one is descriptive research. So this is a kind of research that describes, descriptive means describes. So describes the characteristics of the population or phenomena or something that we are studying. So this kind of descriptive research focuses more on the what of the research, what it is, not why it's like that. So the descriptive research, here we use a description, classification, measurement. If I want to write down, I should write description. It can be, say, classification. It can be measurement, and it can be comparison. So this is kind of descriptive research. Then we have analytical research. The difference between descriptive and analytical research is based on the question, the kind of the question that we have. So descriptive research attempts to determine, describe, and identify what it is. But in here, we work with 5 friends. You remember the 6 friends? The analytical research attempts to establish why it is that way or how it come to be, right? This is called as analytical research. Then we have conceptual research, theoretical in nature and mostly based on abstract ideas. Then we have empirical research based on experience and observation. If you want to know what is the difference between these two, the main difference between conceptual research and empirical research is that conceptual research involves abstract idea and concepts. So in here, we are working with abstract ideas and concepts, but here we are working, the research is based on observation. experiments and verifiable evidence. Right? These are the difference between these two. Then we have qualitative research. Qualitative research is for collecting, analyzing of non-numerical data. Non-numerical data. Non-numerical, like for example, text, video, audio, right? So in here, we want to understand the concepts, opinion, and experiences. This qualitative research can be used to gather in-depth insight into a problem, or we want to generate new ideas for research. For example, case study, ground theory, and these are the examples. So research methods. These are the research methods, how we can do it. It can be experiment. Also, I can say simulation. It can be survey, questionnaire, interview, case study, participant observation trial, video, text, and something. So what is experiment or simulation? Here, in experiment, we want to test a hypothesis and determine causal relationship by manipulating variables and controlled environment, right? So in here, we have some experiment like people, technology, or this thing. But sometimes it is impossible. That's why we go for simulation. Survey. We want to collect the data from a large number of people to understand what is their opinion, behavior, or characteristics. For example, election, right? Election participation. You want to check how many people, what percentage of people are going to come to the election. You can go to the questionnaires. We want to gather some specific information from people using a set of questions. Interviews, to obtain detailed qualitative data through direct interaction with people. And case studies are to gain a comprehensive understanding of a particular case or phenomena. Then we can go for observation trial to observe and record behaviors or phenomena without intervention or manipulation. And video, so maybe you go for YouTube data analysis based on this one. For data analysis, we want to ensure that data is structured and also it's clean. So data cleaning is set of techniques that we need to have to clean our data. For example, PCA, principal component analysis, or outlier detection, distribution of data, and many other techniques are there for cleaning data. It's out of scope of these slides, but later in machine learning course we will learn them, data cleaning. So maybe we need to remove duplicates, we need to correct errors, we have to organize data into some manageable format if our data is numeric, like a spreadsheet, data spaces, or other things. Then we need to read all data and get sense of whole. We must know what do we have. If we don't know what we have, it's not easy to extract knowledge. We have to familiarize ourselves with the data to understand the context and the content of data. We have to review data sets or transcripts, whatever we have, and also we need to get an overview of the data distribution and general patterns, right? So data distribution comes from the probability and statistics course, and you need to know these prerequisites. Then we need to begin detailed analysis with coding process. We have to identify key concepts and categorize within the data. We have to assign codes or labels to segment of data. We have to create categories based on the code that we have. Next, we have to generate a description of the setting or people, as well as categories or themes for analysis. We need to develop a detailed understanding of the data context and major themes. We need to describe the context, setting, or population that we are working on it, and also we may need to identify and define major themes or categories that emerge from data. Then we have to represent themes like writing, visual, etc. We need to present the themes in a clear and coherent manner. We need to maybe use appropriate format to represent themes such as narrative description, charts, graph, and these are very helpful. Charts, graphs, visualization, right? Visualization help us a lot for data, and we need to ensure the representation align with the research objective. Then we need to interpret it and make meaning out of data. We have to try to extract insights and understand the implication of the findings, maybe by analyzing how themes and pattern address the research questions. And also we can thinking of connecting a finding to theoretical framework or existing literature. Last but not least, iterative and nonlinear process. In this way, we may refine and validate analysis through multiple iterations. We may try to revisit and revise coding and themes as a new insight emerge. By whenever some new insight emerges, we need to may go back, revisit, and revise the coding and themes that we have defined. We have to update, right? Updating. And continuously, we compare and contrast data to refine interpretations. So here are some steps that we need to take for the research process. The process is initiated with a question or problem that we call it as the problem statement. Then we need to review the literature. It's very important. If you ignore literature survey, maybe after doing 2-3 months or more, you understand that someone else already did it, right? So very important. Also, in literature survey, maybe new ideas come to our mind, so you can reform your idea. It's very important. Literature search or literature review. Next, we have to go for objectives. We must define our objectives and formulate our goals to deal with the question or the problem that we have. Next, we have to go for research design and to achieve our objectives, right? So contributions, technical contribution. Maybe here we can say problem statement. Here we can say objectives. Problem statement, what are you going to solve? What is the problem that you are going to solve? Objective, what you want to do. I want to solve this problem to achieve this one. Goal, objective, right? Technical contributions, how you want to solve this problem. You want to propose a new algorithm, or you want to improve an existing algorithm, or different ways. Then we collect data. We collect data and we try to generate the results by conducting research. Then we interpret and analysis of research, and then maybe we can go for interpretation. So background, problem statement, objective, contribution. Then we have significance and merit. Significant means in compared to the existing methods and algorithms, how well is your suggestion or proposal? If there is no improvement, it means you did nothing, right? So you must be able to prove that your proposed algorithm or method or model works better. The merit means what is the use in real life? What is the use of your model? Where it can be used in healthcare, for animals, for nature, for human being, for transportation. We need to explain the merit of our proposed model. So then I want to talk about challenges in research. So there are some problems and challenges that we must be aware of them, and we try to solve them. The first one is time overrun. So insufficient or ineffective planning can lead to delays and unanticipated problems. Maybe we have poor planning. So this poor planning, big planning, result in missed deadline and project overruns. So to overcome with this problem, we need to think of a detailed project plan or timeline. So we must care about it, right? And always we have to update it. So maybe we have something like this, and this is, for example, this is our plan, and what is the actual. Maybe actual is sometimes better, sometimes. So we need to always, maybe you can say week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, right? We have to take care of it. The second problem is communication gap. Miscommunication or lack of communication between team members and research member and supervisor, right? It's a problem. So communication gap can delay decision making and lead to project inefficiencies. So how to overcome with this problem? So we may establish clear communication channel and protocol, schedule regular meeting, once in a week at least. Once in a week it is needed. So this regular meeting help us to ensure alignment, and we address issues, right? So we use collaborative tools to enhance transparency and information sharing. The next one is incorrect problem identification. So misidentifying the research problem can lead to irrelevant or ineffective solution. So research outcome may not address the actual issues, so leading to wasted resources and time. Very important, right? If you don't define the problem correctly, then you will face problem. So we have to ensure a thorough understanding of the problem by consultation with experts, senior students, your supervisor. Maybe on LinkedIn you can communicate with others, right? Also, maybe lack of extensive literature survey is another problem. If you did not study, in depth, this can result in lack of context or understanding of previous funding, but the other people did it, right? So this is a big problem. We must conduct a comprehensive literature review to understand the current state of the research and identify the gaps. So this is a big problem. Lack of domain knowledge. Maybe students are not familiar with the research field, right? So insufficient expertise in your research field maybe can impair the ability to conduct meaningful research. This may lead to incorrect assumption, inadequate analysis, or weak conclusion. You must be working with some supervisor, collaboration with expert, or extensive background reading is needed. And lack of knowledge of aligned subjects. So ignoring related fields can limit the research scope and applicability. So this kind of knowledge of aligned subject can result in a narrow perspective and outlook insight. So you must be able to read the prerequisite. That's why, for machine learning, math is very important. Math, like for example, linear algebra, discrete mathematics, maybe probability and statistics, calculus, right? These are very important, right? If you are not aware of these things, maybe I can say data structure, maybe algorithm. So these are prerequisites of ML. If you don't know, then there will be a problem, right? So, we have to identify and review prerequisite subjects early in the research process, and this helps us to have a solid fundamental understanding. So how to do the literature survey? We have to, this literature survey, we have to conduct this literature survey of a broad area, and this can be overwhelming and may lead to a superficial understanding of the field. So this kind of broad approach might miss specific relevance. So this broad and narrow is a kind of a strategy like this. So if you go for only broad area of literature survey and you don't go to the details in depth, then there is a big problem, right? Because you are not aware. So for example, if you search for some topic and you maybe study, for example, in 6G networks, you only study the basics, the overview of 6G, but you want to work on, for example, very specific problem of spectrum allocation. So it's broad survey doesn't work. You must do the literature survey for spectrum allocation specifically, not 6G in broad, right? So it's very important. So not very broad, not very narrow. So whenever it is needed, right, we have to ensure that the survey in a specific area is comprehensive. How? By including related field and research development. Maybe you will use, diverse sources to get a well-rounded view. Also, formulating a research problem can be a problem. Also, we have to define a clear and impactful research problem. This defining a clear and impactful research problem is challenging, and also this, if we do not define it well, it may lead to a vague and not clear, right? So if we define it very poor, it may result in ineffective research design and output will not be as we want. We need to, go for structure problem definition techniques, consult with experts, and refine the problem through iterative discussion and feedback. Also, finding solution step by step. We need to adopt a systematic approach to a problem solving. We need to use frameworks or methodologies, etc., to do this one. And simulation of the solution. So we have to use reliable solution tools and validate them through the calibration and testing. And the next one is we have to repeat these previous steps until the problem is successful resolved. We have to implement a well-defined iterative process. Also, we have to have a clear criteria for success and regular evaluation to determine when to finalize or adjust the research. So, extensive literature survey, we can do it on different websites. We may go for conducting extensive survey of past studies relevant to the field of investigation that we have. This kind of literature survey provide insight into existing knowledge, methodologies, and finding related to the research topic that we have. We try to understand what others have discovered so far in the field, and we try to gain insight into how previous studies were conducted and their outcomes. We try to read relevant literature. We try to refer to original works, read with the comparison, read in time, index the literature. So what we do, we identify and review literature that directly pertains to our research area. We use a primary source and original research articles, not from everywhere. As I said to you, it should be peer reviewed. For example, Wikipedia, you should avoid, right? Because they are not reviewed. We try to grasp the main points. We try to ensure through the careful review without rushing through the critical information. We try to manage sources efficiently and facilitate. So here, we can go for knowledge foundation, identification of gap, methodology insights, and avoidance of the redundancy. So where we can do the literature survey, IEEE Digital Library, you can go for it, right? ACM Digital Library is another one, Web of Science, private authorship web-based libraries, and LinkedIn, ResearchGate, you can go for all of these, or for citation, Web of Science, Google Scholar sites. These are, some sources, but, you just Google on Google Scholar, you search on Google Scholar, you can find out where you can see such information, right? So literature survey, we can do web search like search engines. They use general search engine like Google Scholar, or maybe these articles. We can see these papers. We can see related area search. Like for example, we can search different kind of sources. We can go for verifying information by cross-reference finding. We can go for journal conferences. SCI, this kind of indexing. Later I will explain what is SCI, SSCI, and these things based on impact factor. These are where you can read this paper. But as I said, Google Scholar is the best one. But in Google Scholar, maybe you receive some paper low quality, published in low quality. Later in these lectures, I will let you know how to find good journals, right? For example, IEEE journals, you can find them. So this is the kind of website that we use for searching papers. Later I will explain more in detail. Web of Science, already it was known as Web of Knowledge, but this website is this company, Clarivate company, is mostly used to evaluate journals. Journals are ranked by Web of Science. Later I will have one lecture specific for this one. Microsoft Academia is another one, Base is another one. These are other search engines. Never copy from Wikipedia. Wikipedia is free online, right? Everyone can write there, so it's fake. Don't refer to this one. And citation, we must be intellectual honesty and attribution. We should respect the others by citing them, and legal attribution and copyright. We should respect the people that we did. That's why we do citation. In one lecture, I fully explain about citation, where to cite, where not to cite, how to cite, what journal should cite, what papers you should cite, what papers you should not cite. One separate lecture, I will explain about citation. I will explain all these things in different lecture. So the objectives of your paper, this is the milestone of our research. We try to follow logically from the vision, and we try to define our task, organize and schedule. And also here we have a timeline. So if this one help us for novelty, uniqueness, and also the oral statement and advantage focused on the process. So then problem statement is what we are going to solve in our research. What is the research problem that we are going for solve here to find? Or some existing technology, there are some weakness, we want to do a research and propose a better one. So what is the central research question? It must be clearly written in the research paper. But will we know after completion of your work that we didn't know before? Or why it is important? This is the significance. Sometimes the problem is very good, but solving the problem does not help anyone. It doesn't help people, it doesn't help animal, it doesn't help transportation, it doesn't help nature. That's useless, right? So it should be important, right? So in order to define a problem statement, we should do literature review from web, news, advertisement, graduate school, conferences, and then we can define our problem statement, right? So a statement of the problem, begin by articulating the problem in broad terms. This initial statement provides a foundation for understanding the scope and context of the issue. So we try to understand the nature of the problem that we are going to solve. We try to investigate the problem's characteristics, causes, and implication. So this kind involves in breaking down the problem into its components and understanding its underlying dynamics. Then we surveying the available literature. We conduct a thorough review of existing research-related problems. So in this way, we can identify previous findings, theoretical frameworks, and also it helps us to find the gap in the existing knowledge. This gap is very important. This is what we are going to work on it. Then we develop ideas through discussion. We engage in discussion with colleagues, experts, stakeholders. This helps us to refine and develop ideas. Collaboration can provide new perspective and insight that might not be apparent from individual others. Working together in a network is the best solution. Do not work alone. And rephrasing the problem statement based on the insight gained from the literature review and discussion that you have with experts, other people, we try to refine and restate the research problem. This final formulation should be precise, focused, and actionable. This is the characteristics of the research problem. So the next, methodology or technical contribution. This is the core of the network. Okay, what you want to solve. Now the question is, how you want to solve this problem? How do you plan to conduct the research? What are your tools? What are you are going to propose? You are going to design, you are going to formulate, what you are going to do. This is the technical contribution. I will have a separate lecture on this one. Also related work. Related work is the same as literature survey. Then, okay, here is professional ethics. Professional ethics, research, this is the last slide of this lecture. Then I will talk with all the terminologies I use in this lecture in the next lectures. This is the most important one, ethic, research ethic. We must respect for intellectual property right. This is very important. Ensure proper recognition of the original creators of intellectual work. We have to respect patents, copyright, and trademarks. Academic honesty. We have to conduct research with honesty. Honesty is very, very, very important. We have to trust. We have to avoid any form of fabrication, falsification, or plagiarism. These are very, very bad. Fabrication. Falsification. And plagiarism. We have to maintain transparency in research methods and findings. Give credit where credit is due. We have to properly cite all sources and contributions of other researchers. We must acknowledge the work and idea of others that have influenced our research. We have to respect the other contribution and evaluation of the scholarship. We have to fairly and accurately evaluate the work of others. We have to provide constructive feedback and recognize the contribution of colleagues and collaborative. We have to, ensure that we represent other researchers' work correctly in our own research. We must avoid misinterpretation and mispresentation of their findings. We have, respectfully foster an environment where contributions are acknowledged and valued. We have to offer feedback in respectful and constructive manner. We are not going to fight with anyone. We must have a goal to advance knowledge through full and supportive critique. So, we must be, always ensure that recognition is given where it is deserved and expect similar treatment for our own contribution. If you respect others, people will respect you, right? So professional membership, we may adhere to the ethical guidelines set forth by professional organizations such as ACM, IEEE. So by following these principles, researchers can contribute to a professional and ethical academic environment where we can, have a respectful collaboration with all, and we can help human beings, nature, animals to have a better life. Ralph Waldo Emerson, he said, do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path. This encourages innovation and originality. So this advocates for forging our own way rather than adhering to established roads. In the context of research, this philosophy underscores the importance of exploring uncharted territories, challenging existing norms, and creating new knowledge. He inspires researchers to pursue novel ideas and methodologies, thereby contributing to the advancement of their fields in unique and meaningful way. Thank you very much for your attention. Please feel free to ask me if you have any question. Thank you and see you in the next lecture.